A year ago, I promised that I would review A Silent Voice. I have the whole collection. This here's just an extra copy of my favorite volume, Volume 5. And you can check out the reviews for yourself if you are interested. But after watching this movie, I realized that I can't give a proper review. Because this movie really hit me in a similar way and on a smaller scale to that of the manga. A Silent Voice is my favorite manga of all time, and that's not saying much considering the fact that I haven't read too many manga, nor have I completed too many manga. At the top of my head, actually, I've only finished 2. I will be keeping this review spoiler free, but again, that is review in quotation marks because I can't give a proper review when I have all of these feelings built up inside. Because The Silent Voice is a type of movie that is more on the realistic side. There's only one scene in the entire movie that you can consider exaggerated, but everything else is totally real. It's the same way in the manga. Only one part in the manga is exaggerated that was shown in the movie, but overall this is something that can definitely happen in real life, and it hits close to home. As a reviewer, I cannot look at the technical flaws of it for once. Normally I can, considering the fact that, oh, I don't know, I've studied film for several years of my life. It's kind of a big part of who I am, and you know, being a reviewer really shows you guys that, of how much passion I have for reviewing any sort of medium, whether it be anime or movies or any other thing like that. But again, I cannot do that with A Silent Voice, because it just hit me in a way to the point where I can't be critical. So the only times I'm going to be critical is when comparing it to the manga. Again, it's spoiler free, but throughout the majority of the review, it's really going to be me talking about the realism in A Silent Voice, and that's something that is hard to find. A Silent Voice came out in September of 2016 in Japan, and just recently finally got subtitled, and I've been waiting for this oh so long, Jesus, because you know, it's made by KyoAni. The movie was going to be 2 hours long, which is great because this manga is 7 volumes long, and there's like, I think 75 chapters, 74 chapters, which is a perfect amount of chapters to make a 12 episode anime. This could have easily been 12 episodes. So yes, the movie did cut out a couple of things, and a couple of major important things out of volume 5, which is the most important volume out of the entire series. But in the end, the effect still got across, like I said in the beginning, on a smaller scale, because there was more of a build-up with the manga. Because you see, in the anime, they adapted everything perfectly up to volume 3, basically, up to volume 3. Volumes 1 through 3 were adapted perfectly, but then volume 4 and 5, they were really rushed, and it showed immediately once it was the second half of the movie, so you know, 1 hour in, things got really rushed. And that was because of volume 4 and 5, because there's a lot of things that happen in those volumes that make you understand the characters even more, because a lot of the characters, the side characters, you really don't understand why they are there in the first place. A Silent Voice is a story of redemption, not romance as many people like to believe or, you know, want to hope. It's a story of redemption about Shoyo Ishida, a guy who was a complete scumbag in elementary school when he bullied a classmate who was deaf. And after a few circumstances, things got turned around and everyone turned on Shoyo, and he was being bullied and everyone left him, and his life was, well, his social life was ruined forever. Present day, Shoyo is now a 3rd year in high school and ends up meeting the deaf girl that he bullied, Shoko. And through some circumstances, they end up becoming friends, having more people join their crowd, and that's where the movie falls a little flat. The movie didn't really do its best at showing you how these guys became friends in the first place, because one thing that's a part of this redemption story, well, there's a couple of things really. For one, having a good relationship with Shoko, trying to repair that, you know, apologize for what he did in the past, that's just a small portion. The majority of this redemption story is him socializing again, and unfortunately they really sped by that because a bunch of people start joining their crew. It's just like, whoa, how the heck did this happen? Like, it was really random. And you have this one guy, Satoshi, who's a really great character in the manga. And same with all the other side characters. You get to learn more about their backstories and why they are who they are, why they are there in the first place, but they completely cut that out in the movie. So if you're interested in learning about the characters or learning about what's been cut out, then I highly recommend you pick up volume 4, or more specifically, chapter 24 of the manga. There's a certain situation that brings all these characters together, and then they start hanging out, and you learn more about their backstories and you learn what they want to be. That's another thing. Another thing that was completely cut out in the movie was their futures. Because towards the end of the manga, you know, again, they're third years. So they're thinking about what they want to pursue in life and if they can really achieve it. Do they believe that they can after all they have been through in the past? I did like where the movie ended, and it still had a powerful effect on me. But of course not as great of a scale as the manga. One thing that I really liked about the movie was how the soundtrack didn't overpower any scene. And you know, most movies should have their soundtrack overpower a scene, or at least feel like really, really loud to enhance the scene, but not a Silent Voice. Instead, they didn't have too many tracks play in general. They usually had more lighthearted tracks to play during the more lighthearted scenes. But since this is a drama and a hardcore, realistic redemption story, things, you know, go downhill at some point. As expected with any movie, things go downhill at some point for the protagonist. And there's barely any tracks that play. And when, even during the serious scenes, there's no song to be heard. You just listen to the sound effects, pay attention to the dialogue and the facial expressions and the body movement of the characters, and it got its message across. This movie brought back up emotions that I only feel towards things that I consider to be my favorites. Durarara, Kuroko no Basket, Zetsuen no Tempest, Fate Zero, Bungo Stray Dogs. All of these being on my favorites list somewhere or the other, and even more posters that you can't even see on the sides. Like there's this big Psycho-Pass poster over there. But these anime have made me feel a certain way that can't really be described. So instead, I have to share with you guys a little bit of my past in order for you to understand. About a month ago, Guguk uploaded a video talking about realism and, you know, relatability in anime, and to feel a connection with these fictional characters that seem to only happen with fictional characters. Like, you can only feel this connection with these fictional characters and not anything else. And we're not talking about a creepy weeaboo otaku connection where you want to hump against your body pillow. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about, you know, a deeper level. Something that really hits you in the heart. Something as if you're looking at your life being adapted itself. You find something when you're watching said medium and it hits you. Like Shoko, I was bullied in elementary school, but I didn't have any deficiencies. I had no idea why I was bullied. People just said I was weird. And there was this one guy who kept on trying to become friends with me, but I thought he was weird. But in the end, when we were forced to work on a project, I realized that he was actually a pretty cool dude, so he became my one and only best friend. I did have a few other buddies, but none closer than my best friend in elementary school. His name is Dante, by the way. Like, I seem to only connect with the guys, but not just any guys, a very small group of guys. The nerds. That's one thing that's always stuck throughout my entire life. I seem to only stick with the nerds, the outcasts. And soon later on, when I moved over to the current town that I'm living in, I ended up befriending people with special needs. They were also outcasts. To be honest, I didn't understand why. I didn't see them as different. Even this one girl with Down syndrome, I didn't see her as someone completely different. I thought she was normal. So I just talked to her like a regular person. But that was middle school. Back with elementary school, I was bullied and I didn't know why. And it would mainly be verbal abuse, not really any physical abuse. I never gotten into any fights. No one's ever pushed me. People would take my things, people would destroy my things, but that's about it. My dad used to say, "Oh, it's because you're so beautiful. That's the only reason why. boys don't know how to convey their feelings, so they tease little girls. But after my mom did some research, she found out that all these people who were bullying me happened to have deep-rooted issues back at home. In 7th grade, I moved to a new town, and no, it wasn't because I was bullied, it was because of taxes or whatever, I don't know, something, whatever my parents wanted. Anyway, but I had to leave my friend, so we tried to keep in touch, but that was one problem. I didn't really know how to keep in touch with others. And that's something that I still struggle with today. Like every new kid, everyone wants to talk to you. They want to know who you are and what social class you will fit in. And immediately, I just ended up fitting in with the special needs people, the ones who were outcasts. Other people still wanted to talk to me, but it wasn't because of me, it's because they knew my dad is a lawyer, and then they were all like, oh, so that must mean she's rich. A year or two into middle school, I finally met someone who I can actually consider a best friend again. Her name being Kyla. I was gonna call her Kayla. Her name being Kyla. And it was the first time that I ever had a girl to call a best friend. And I didn't even call her a best friend, I called her my sister because I was just so happy to befriend someone who is a girl for once. I never got to do girly things. I'm not interested in doing girly things, but it was really nice to, you know, be friends with a girl for once. Unfortunately, in the first year or two of high school, she went insane and had to go to an asylum. I never saw her again. I only have 2 things to remember her by, and I can barely remember her face, but I do have this one photo that I keep on my photo wall, and I have this one gift that she gave me. So yeah, I was really sad, because I lost my very first girl best friend. But then in sophomore year, I befriended someone else. I don't remember how, but I really didn't want to lose her. She would tell me all of her problems because she had some really fucked up shit going on, or at least not really fucked up shit, but she had like some petty things going on, but she kept on over-exaggerating them and kept telling me her problems every single night for hours. And I kept on giving her advice, but she wouldn't take any of it. And she did the same thing to all of her other friends, and they gave her the same advice that I would give her, but again, she wouldn't listen to said advice. So at some point, after being her friend for about 2 years, I finally ended the friendship because she wasn't really treating me as a friend. She wouldn't listen to what I had to say, and she never wanted to hang out with me. She would hang out with the other girls, but she wouldn't hang out with me, and I didn't understand why. I helped her out so much. I even helped her get the guy that she wanted to be with. I made that, and I didn't understand why she didn't want to listen to me. So when I ended the friendship, everyone left me. It was the first time I was truly alone. You see, the reason why everyone left me was because now my poor friend that I stopped being friends with, she's all alone and she's all depressed now, so all her other buddies decided to go to her side and completely ignore me. So I was friendless for the rest of high school, and it was very depressing. I did have 2 other friends. However, our schedules never matched up. I couldn't even text them. It was really, really sad. The fact that I did have 2 other people around, but they were never around, so I was pretty much all by myself. And that's where I relate to Shoyo. Shoyo being an outcast. Shoyo not having to do with anyone. He stopped paying attention to anyone in the hallways, didn't even look at their faces. That's what I did when I walked down the hall. I listened to my music. Instead of looking at the people around me or listening to what they had to say, I imagined what they'd had to say. I imagined everyone was just a bunch of fakers, and I just walked down the hallways looking at the lockers, looking what's straight in front of me, being the wall. I wouldn't pay attention to anyone. There were other people who still wanted to be my friend because remember, they knew my dad was a lawyer, so they thought I was rich, so they all wanted to be my friend. I realize the story is getting longer and longer, so I'll start cutting it back by saying that I relate to Shoyo in trying to socialize again. I realize that I can't really socialize with just anyone. I can only really talk to people about geeky things. Something that's, well, been forever for me. Like sometimes I will have difficulty ordering my McDonald's meal because of the other cashier. I can't talk to them properly. When I do my live reactions of manga, people notice that I don't read the same way other people read aloud, and that's because I don't talk to people very much. I never read something aloud because I never volunteered to do so. Of course, I'm fine talking with my family, and when the time comes that I can hang out with my two friends, then I do. But before I realized that I could just talk to other people who are geeky like me, I was just alone. I just found a corner, sat there, read some manga, watched some anime, write in my journal, do something other than socialize. So seeing Shoyo having the time of his life when he was hanging out with friends, you know, over at the amusement park, he was just like, wait, I can enjoy this? I can have fun with this? Again, it didn't hit me as hard as it did when I read the manga because there was more build up to it. And his friendship with the others made more sense than in the movie, but still, seeing him happy and hearing his voice, I was just like, you go, man. Alright, this video is getting really, really long. I'll cut it back right now, but yeah. A silent voice hits me in a way like no other series can. Well, unless if it's one of my favorites. Now I know this happens a lot when someone shares a depressing backstory. You have a bunch of people in the comments sharing all their depressing stories, and the comment section is nothing but a sobby mess. Of course, if you want to share your backstory, that's fine. I just really don't want the comment section to be all depressing, okay? What I want to know is your thoughts on this movie. Is it one of your favorites? Has it beaten Kimi no Na wa for you, or whatever was your #1 film of all time? Because my mind is so clouded on a personal level, I cannot say fairly that this movie is great. But I can say that this movie is perfect in my eyes. Let me know your thoughts on this movie, whether you are an anime only or a manga reader. Manga readers, did you wish that something's changed in the movie? Do you agree with me? And manga readers, if you're gonna leave like spoilers from the manga, make sure you put down spoiler alert, okay? Gotta keep the anime only safe. And yeah, that's all for this video. I think I'm gonna add this to my playlist, Sloan's backstory arc. For those of you who don't know, it's when I share some pieces of my past, and I have this in a playlist. So there's probably a card popping up right about now. But yeah, I'm gonna go and review other stuff then. I don't know, I feel pretty awkward right now. It's a good thing I just have this camera to talk to. I'm your female otaku. Sayonara.